Next on Small Town Big Deal, Cooperstown, New York, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Rodney discovers a bat company that's a big hit with their one-of-a-kind creations. Then it's off to a third-generation cider mill, where they still do it the old-fashioned way.
Welcome to Small Town Big Deal.
We've traveled across the country and firmly believe that the people in small towns are the hands that keep America strong.
So join us, Rodney Miller,
And Jan Carl,
as we show you the great things these people do on Small Town Big Deal. Welcome to Small Town Big Deal. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl.
You know, Jan, they say that life is about the journey, not the destination. But in Cooperstown, New York, it's all about the destination.
And I'm pretty jealous because Rodney got to go there without me.
Well, there is a lot to do in Cooperstown.
So you didn't miss me?
You know, I didn't even know you then.
Well, that's no excuse. You know, I'm sort of feeling like a hot dog, peanuts, popcorn.
Apple cider?
Apple cider?
Well, you know, there's a lot more in Cooperstown than just baseball. Here in Cooperstown, baseball isn't just a summer game. It's a year-round sport. Legend has it that General Abner Doubleday invented baseball in a cow pasture right here in the 1830s. Many people dispute that claim, but the town leaders used that story to convince Major League Baseball to place their Hall of Fame here in Cooperstown. This town has about 2,000 permanent residents, but hundreds of thousands of baseball fans from all around the world come here to see the greatest of the greats in the Hall. A short walk down the block from the Baseball Hall of Fame, you will find the Cooperstown Bat Company. It's owned by husband and wife team Tim and Connie Haney.
As it stands right now, I think we're one of the oldest bat companies in the U.S.
Of course, you have a tremendous advantage being right across the road from the Baseball Hall of Fame, so
we'd like to think so.
And I'm thinking it's got to be one of the most popular because think about it, if you come to Cooperstown, what souvenir do you have to go home with? A bat, not just any bat.
Tim, tell me about the bats you create here.
What we do is a very unique kind of baseball bat. The bat company originally started as collectible bats for Hall of Famers, so our first bat we ever made was for Pee Wee Reese.
When you wander through the store, you will see the names of many of the great players who are celebrated in the Hall of Fame down the street. But that's just where it starts. You will also see replicas of bats from the early days, bats to celebrate weddings, anniversaries, and retirements. And for the thousands and thousands of Little Leaguers that come here every year, there's a special bat to celebrate each one of their teams.
It's not just the Little Leaguers who can't wait to get their hands on a bat.
There is definitely a unique American flavor to what you will see. From Tim's idea of the bat flag to the Special Armed Forces themed bats, including a special bat they did for a unit of helicopter pilots serving in Afghanistan. Tim told me that they actually have that bat hanging in a flight room in Afghanistan.
You know, it's pretty cool that they have a piece of America with them and they're serving so far away from home.
Baseball is an American sport, so it's like one of our only ones.
It's the American pastime.
It sure is.
And that's one of the things that we're very proud of, that everything that we do is made here.
And when Connie says made here, she means it just outside of Cooperstown. Made in the USA.
This turn-of-the-century feed store and trolley depot, now bat factory, is where the magic really begins, all starting with the wood, or billets, that are the beginning for every bat they sell.
Being in upstate New York, obviously it's the home of northern white ash. All the good hardwoods come from the Northeast. They like the cold winters that we have here where it drops the sap right out of the tree.
You know, this is not just about how bats are made. We're also getting a little Forestry 101.
So this is our original lathe.
This is the old school lathe that Tim and his crew used to turn a billet into a bat. By the time this lathe is done, this piece of timber will be the smooth beginnings of a Cooperstown bat.
So Tim decides he's going to let Rodney take a swing at making a bat. I'm thinking he should just leave that to the experts.
Now this looks a lot more high-tech.
Not everything is vintage at the Cooperstown Bat Company. They also have this computerized lathe, which can really crank out the bats.
See how this one vibrates a little more?
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it's under so much pressure.
Whether old school or new school, when the lathes are done, there is one more thing that needs to be finished before you move on to the next step. Cutting off the nubs, just like a carrot. Then it's on to be dipped and dried.
Now with these fumes, you don't ever tend to go a little batty in here, do you?
Oh, been batty for a long time.
Once the bats are, well, bats, they go back to the store in downtown Cooperstown to become personalized. Tim will take the design of your choice, get it set up in the computer.
So the first thing we do is try to spell things correctly.
Yeah, I'm thinking that'd be pretty important. I mean, computers, you got the backspace, pencil paper, you got an eraser, but with a bat?
Now what are all these bats?
Those are our mess-ups.
That looks like a lot of firewood.
That's exactly what it's going to be.
Pretty expensive firewood.
You're not kidding.
And then, using a laser, burn the design into the bat. Connie puts in the finishing touches, and then it's ready to present to its new owner.
What gives you the greatest personal satisfaction?
After you talk it over with somebody and you have this whole bat idea in front of them, and they come back an hour later, and then I bring up their bat to them, and they see their name on the bat. You know, they're just like, wow, I never thought a bat could look like that. This is like the greatest thing ever.
And then seeing those boys get their bats, they smile. And you don't see those kinds of grins all of the time, but this is one of those things. So it's actually, that's what they give back to us.
As soon as they get it in their hands, they have to at least swing it a little bit.
I'm thinking maybe they've had a broken window or a broken something with all those bats being swung all the time.
For Tim and Connie, bats are not just their business. It is truly their passion.
Basically what we call it is going back to the roots of baseball. So there's this big push to go back to wood bats and the sound of the crack off the bat. And you become a true hitter if you can hit with a wood bat.
There you go, run, buddy, run!
Okay, go, honey. The Cooperstown Bat Company, a great family business in a great American small town.
For a guy who's had just the best job ever, and I really am jealous, but thank you so much for all you've done.
Oh, well, we appreciate you coming in. Actually, before you leave, we had one more.
Oh, wow.
This is
My
your
own
Cooperstown
bat with extra coats of, oh.
Right, yeah, and don't throw that one. Yeah, leave that one goes on the wall.
Oh, I bet you got me one of those small town, big deal baseball bats, didn't you?
Again, Jan, I didn't even know you then.
I take it as a no.
Correct. But stay tuned, because our next story is about another family business built on great tradition. Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. You know, Jan, what could be more American than baseball and apple cider?
You mean baseball and apple pie?
No, I mean apple cider, because just down the road from Cooperstown is a little village called Fly Creek. And they're making apple cider the way they did 100 years ago.
Flowing just as freely as it did more than a century ago, Fly Creek isn't just pretty to behold, it's pretty powerful. The last of 8 mills standing near these waters, it's the foundation of Fly Creek Cider Mill and Orchard, a family business for 3 generations. Bill Michaels is generation number 2 and co-owner of the mill.
Bill, this is such a picturesque area here, and this whole facility, what's the history?
Well, we're an original water-powered cider mill, built in 1856, continuing to press cider the old-fashioned way with the use of our turbine water wheel.
Barbara Michaels, Bill's mom, was a big part of making the mill what it is today. Smashing is mixed a little bit, or
you really have a unique capture of our vocabulary.
Did you ever dream it would turn into this?
No, we never did. My husband and I started the mill small in 1964, and I was teaching art and he was a union carpenter.
You had separate roles, you and your husband. What was your role?
Well, I created the gift shop in what was the grist room here in the mill.
This is where the grist mill was at one time.
This is where they ground the grain, and since I was an art teacher, I thought I'd make little clay things and some dried flower arrangements and things like that.
Well, Barbara was taking care of customers in the gift shop. Her husband Charlie was busy making lots of cider.
Well, Charlie was downstairs doing the apple sales and grinding the apples, and we did custom pressing also in those days.
Custom pressing is when you would bring your own homegrown apples in, and then Charlie would turn it into apple cider for you.
And even though they don't do custom pressing anymore, the core of their operation,
Good one, I get it.
I knew you were going to say that, is just as it was over 100 years ago. These babies, round, sweet, and delicious.
I'm the vice president in the apple dumper too.
Numerous times each day, you'll find Bill, the self-proclaimed apple dumper, transporting thousands of hand-picked New York State apples from one part of Fly Creek to the next. And right behind Bill is Ants, a native New Yorker who has a wonderful way with the apples.
Nice and easy, you don't have to be fast about it.
You keep them coming, and I'll keep the conveyor full. This is kind of like shoveling corn.
Used to work New York City sanitation 26 years.
Wow.
I moved up here, got a farm, and I do this.
I would never have guessed that because you don't have any kind of a New York accent.
There you go.
You know, spending time with Ants and shoveling apples with him got me to thinking, you know, about a second career.
Oh, hold on, Rodney. We have a lot more episodes to shoot this season.
Take a look at the long lines that snake out the door and along the driveway.
Bill, did you grow up wanting to do this? Was that you just had this dream to make apple cider? Or?
Well, I grew up here. My sister, who was the smart one, became a teacher, and I decided that I wanted to come back in the family business and grow it, and I really think I'm the smart one now.
It's apple frost made from our sweet cider, which we freeze twice.
Let's see what Bill's wife Brenda has to say about the family business.
Brenda, Bill said he's kind of the brains of the operation, but I've been around him a while, and I'm guessing that's not the truth. What's your take on that?
No, he tells everybody that, because I'm the back of the house. I stay home and I make everything happen from home, and then I come in and sell wine on the weekends.
And I see you working pretty hard here too.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So this is definitely a family business.
It is a family business, yes.
No rest for Brenda, that's for sure. But that's how a family business stays successful. Everybody pitches in all the time.
Yes, it's a family business that has kept up with the changes in the marketplace and still a great place to bring your kids and see how apple cider is made.
That's good stuff.
The old-fashioned way.
It's a retail gourmet experience. We have barbecue sauces, dips, rubs, marinades. Upstairs we have a lot of seasonal gifts and merchandise. I would say there's probably more than 10,000 different items here, ranging from sweet.
And you want me to put a piece of tape on?
Absolutely, so I can't get at it.
To tart.
Very good.
Very good. Decorative to shiny, crystal to fabric.
Okay, wait a minute. Did Bill say more than 10,000 different items? I would never get out of that store.
And down in the basement of the store is a 1924 Waterloo Boy engine that runs it all.
I'm just gonna prime it. I gotta prime it each time.
Here at Fly Creek, it's what powers the cider mill press.
And we throw the magneto over, stand back, and hope it starts.
Wow, it takes a hoss to turn that flywheel, I can tell.
One more time.
Are we done before we ever get started? Is this the end of our cider making journey? Stay with us. Small Town Big Deal will be right back. Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. We're at Fly Creek near Cooperstown, New York. Here at Fly Creek Cider Mill, apple cider is made the old-fashioned way. Bill Michaels, co-owner of the Fly Creek Cider Mill, is trying to fire up his 1924 Waterloo Boy Classic.
Now we don't have to choke it.
It runs the press that squeezes the apples and makes the cider. Well, they say the third time is a charm, but I think I've lost count.
Okay, don't you know Rodney is just itching to get in there and help Bill crank up that engine?
Sometimes when I get too tired, we say that the starter's broken. People understand.
Jan's right. It's all I can do to keep my hands off that engine and help Bill crank it up.
Now that we're back in business, let's go back upstairs where thousands of hand-picked New York State apples are being washed, ground, and then prepped to be pressed in what's called the rack and cloth method of making cider.
This whole process is just amazing. You know, I would just love to do something like this in retirement. So who knows? Maybe I'll come to upstate New York in a few years.
Okay, Rodney, before you plan your retirement, maybe you should remember what it was like to try to start up that old Waterloo Boy.
Well, at least I'd stay in shape, and then we kind of balance the calories I'd consume from all that apple cider.
You mean all that peanut butter flavored fudge I bet you were eating?
Oh yeah, that was really good.
You did? I knew, right?
It takes about 32 bushels to make what's called a full cheese, which is the stack of ground apples. The apples are then rotated underneath our press, where the pump puts about 2,000 pounds of pressure right on the apple stack.
Now it's really putting the squeeze on.
Once that pressure is applied, fresh, pure apple cider is produced.
Our cider is made just with ground pressed apples. There's no additives, no preservatives, only the natural sugars that are in the apple. We try to blend at least 4 or 5 different varieties to make a nice, clear, clean cider.
Does the people's reaction make you feel good when they see the mill work and the cider press?
What affects me most is when you have generations coming back to watch the same pressing operation. You have a father, son, and grandfather or grandmother saying, I remember you used to do it the same exact way when I was a little kid, because they're watching the same process done with historic antique equipment, and it really makes you feel good.
Do you think, Mom, that you're going to go home and try to make some apple cider now?
No, I think we'll just buy it.
It's amazing how they do that and how fast it comes out. I don't understand that.
I've been coming to cider mill since I was a little girl.
So you obviously enjoy it.
Yeah, it's the best cider.
What do you like best about the apple cider mill?
The free stuff.
Okay, so something tells me that that guy is not the only guy that enjoyed the free samples.
Well, they were hard to resist. And they had like over 20 of them.
20 samples?
Oh man, they were good.
This is why you did the shoot without me. You know, I'm thinking that maybe you should have done a little more manual labor to pay off your debt.
Well, I did. Just watch.
Once all the cider is pressed out of the apple grinds, this is what's left, a product called pampas that's delivered to local farmers who in turn use it as fertilizer. It's all about recycling, and I think I've finally gotten the hang of it.
Like this, hold this side too?
Yeah, swing it around.
I don't want to knock you out of a job though, you know. Job security is important here, I'm sure.
No one here seems to have a care in the world. With fresh, delicious, homemade cider at your fingertips, why would you?
So this is fresh.
You know, if it's true what they say, that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, well, you do the math. I think we'd live forever if we all drank Fly Creek cider.
That is really good.
Are we ready?
We'd like you all to join in. Oh, and your sweeties gloomy, all your family's in a fix. Go straight to the Fly Creek Cider Mill, built in 1856, where the nations move more slowly, and life is true and real. Where cider's made the old-fashioned way, with a turbine water wheel.
Catch catchy tune. How come you weren't singing with them?
Yeah, right. You've heard me sing before. And besides, Bill wrote that song. I don't like that gesture.
You know, life's gotten so fast-paced with smartphones and everything.
You know, the Michaels family has really created some old-fashioned fun here, and you can really slow down and enjoy it with the kids.
When they come here, they're usually with their mom, dad, they're with grandma and grandpa, and they're having fun. They eat the fudge, they eat the samples, and they go home and they're like, oh, what a great day. So if we can provide these families with just a little time together, I think it's worth it.
Preserving history by maintaining the original equipment, keeping our building with its original footprint right here on the banks of Fly Creek. I mean, we've been flooded out a number of times, but we keep coming right back at it so we can maintain this destination for generations to come.
Everybody now, apples and cider, apples and cider, apples and cider at the Fly Creek Cider Mill.
So how'd that go? Apples and cider. Apples.
I don't think either one of us ought to be singing on camera.
Roger, you're rolling? Okay, no, nobody should sing, definitely. But I do know this, that I should go to Cooperstown because you've proven what a great, great place it is. I'm gonna have to go to get my own bat,
Well,
apparently.
it's in the mail.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to go to get my own apple cider.
That I can fix because Bill sent samples just for you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so cheers to everybody at the Fly Creek Cider Mill.
And to all our viewers who watch every week.
That's right. Hey, and another way you can support us besides tuning in every week is going to Facebook and liking the Small Town Big Deal page. Hope you go there right now. Turn on your computer.
Yeah, do it now. And join us again next week when once again we celebrate the great stories from across America.
Cheers.
Hey, don't throw that bat.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'm sort of feeling like a hot dog, peanuts, popcorn.
Yeah, how about apple cider?
My jeans shrunk.
Your jeans shrunk? Yeah.